G'day and welcome back to the channel, the place to be if you're ready to quit capping your income by working with clients and instead skyrocket those sales by launching a six-figure course. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to one of my new guilty pleasures. It's not that new, I've been using it for 12 months, but I have to introduce you to my favorite project management software, ClickUp. In particular, ClickUp 2.0. I'm going to be walking you through a tutorial of exactly what it looks like inside ClickUp because I truly believe this project management software is going to help you scale your business to six figures and beyond. I've been really diving deep into ClickUp over the last couple of months and organizing everything to do with my projects and my team, but it really doesn't have to be a tool that you use only if you have other people working alongside you. It is perfect for solopreneurs and it has a fantastic free plan to get you started with all of the features you could possibly want. So without any further ado, let's dive straight into my computer so you can see all the amazingness that is ClickUp.
This is ClickUp. Now, it might feel a little overwhelming when you first come in, so I'm going to walk you through everything that you can see here so that you can feel confident in navigating it and realize just how awesome a tool it really is. So firstly, I just want to discuss the hierarchy of how ClickUp is set up. So to start with, we have spaces, and you'll see that my spaces are listed here, and I've actually given them custom icons and colors so that I can quickly and easily navigate to them as I need. So the spaces inside a space, they contain folders, which contain lists, which contain tasks. So that's kind of the hierarchy of how things are broken down. Now, you'll see, depending on how you want to organize your business will really depend on how you decide to use a space, folder, list and task, and what that means to your different businesses. As you can see, for me, I'm in an operations space. I have each of the major functions or major projects that are happening inside of my business listed as folders, and then the lists within them are kind of the smaller projects that happen within a project. So it really needs to work for you. This is the way that it works for me. I've also seen people use more spaces as ways of organizing their business. However, in ClickUp 2.0, they have now limited on the free version of ClickUp how many spaces you can create. So I'm more inclined to suggest to you that you go the folder and list road for organizing and try and group tasks or group focuses of the business together in the way like I have here under operations, so that you're not going to be limited by the free version because you really can get so much done with the free version of ClickUp. So as you can see, let's just go through this page. So to start with, I'm going to come back to these icons at the top, but as I explained, these are our spaces. And if we click into a space, you'll see I've gone into one of the folders and a list. And this is the view that comes up. So these are all of the tasks contained within this particular list, my Facebook group for my membership. Now I could click on the folder and it's actually going to show me all of the tasks and lists listed within that folder. So you can start to get more of an overview of everything contained in that project rather than having to drill down into the individual pieces. You can also click on the space itself and the same thing will happen. It's going to bring up every task and every list and every folder that you have contained within that space. Now, if we come across the top here, you'll see that not only can you view in the way that I am right now using a list, but it gives you many different options for how you can view tasks, which really, depending on how your brain works, is going to determine which one works best for you. So using a list, this is quite similar to Asana. So anyone who's familiar with Asana, this view you're going to be familiar with. If you go to the board view, Asana also has this view, but this is far more of a Trello type feature where you can move tasks along your these are statuses that I've created. So you can move a task to different statuses based on, like you would in Trello on a board. There's also a calendar view. Again, this is not an uncommon view, but it's going to show me everything that I have set up across this entire project. There we go, loaded. Against this entire space. And then there are actually a few of other views that may only be available on the paid version. I do pay because I wanted additional features and I have my team in here. You absolutely don't know there's a lot that you can get achieved with the free version. So one of the views that I love is the Gantt version. This is mostly just because this is the way that my brain works. And this is, if for instance, I was organizing a launch of a course, this would be something that I would highly recommend to someone going through that process, because it helps you to see where tasks are actually plotted based on the date, so when they begin. So it's very important for this function within ClickUp that you need to be using both start and end dates. And that's actually one of the features that a lot of other project management softwares don't have, is the ability to create not only a due date, but a start date as well, which allows you the functionality of the Gantt chart. And so once you've plotted those in, you can start to see on the Gantt view when a task began, when a task is scheduled to end, and it actually even gives you a percentage based on how many tasks within that project or list or whatever it may be have been completed, so that you can get a gauge on how much extra work you've got to do and the time that you have left to complete it in. So that's pretty cool. And of course you can kind of expand each of the different lists and we'll see all the tasks underneath them as you like. Cool view. The final view they have here is the box. I haven't really used this view much, but this is a great way to be able to glance people in your team what tasks they have on their to-do list, again based on where you've clicked into. So if you're in a space as I am now, it's going to show you a lot of different things, and this is based on the statuses that you have set up within your tasks, which I will walk you through shortly. But if you are managing a team, particularly if you have something like an managing, this would be a really great feature, because you can actually start to, I haven't got this upgraded feature because it's not something that I need, but you can start to look at the workload of people to ensure that you're giving enough work to your team, that they're not being overloaded, especially if you've got multiple clients that you're managing. You can also change the view here and look at it by time. So one of the features I love about ClickUp is being able to actually estimate how much time a task or a project is going to take. So that's really helpful to me, especially when I was managing my micro agency. If I was saying that a task or a project for time, I could actually track if those hours were being exceeded or if we were coming in under budget using ClickUp, which I'll show you as well. So those are the views. My preference is list. Now, if we start to drill down into a folder and a list, and also I want to show you some of the features and the views that you can see within here. So obviously, as I said, I'm in my list view. Now, there are ways that you can group tasks for your views as well. So you can group them by status, which I often have here to see kind of what's in my to-do list, what's a template. I'm actually going to go into... I'll come into my YouTube project because that one's got great statuses. Okay, so you can see here that I've got ready to film, I've got something that's scripted, then I've got things that are going through the research and SEO phase, and then I have a treasure chest of tasks, which actually are any kind of videos that I'm thinking of doing that aren't necessarily in the list of things to come up that are forthcoming. And so these are custom statuses that I was able to create within this specific list. The list, it asked me for statuses, but you can also edit the list as you edit the statuses as you go by clicking on the three dots, and you can see the edit folder statuses. Now, there's templates. So if you're going through Scrum, you could use a Scrum template, Kanban, any of those that are familiar to you, you could use. I tend to just create my own, because for every list, really, I have a specific process that my team and I are following. Even if you're a solopreneur, it's really a good idea to understand which steps you need to go through and set up your statuses accordingly. So you can see for YouTube, I have just my open status, and you can actually rename these too, where I could decide to change open to something else. And then I've created that I'm in the scripting phase, that a task is ready to film or a video is ready to film. I'm in editing, SEO, review, and I've also just created a task for templates, and that's where I hold things, as you can see, like like my brand assets, my video editing steps, things that don't change and that I need to duplicate for tasks in the future. So I tend to have something like a resources status created for a lot of different projects and lists in my ClickUp, and that is so that I don't need to keep referring back or searching elsewhere. I just find it a really helpful and handy thing to have there. So I can be grouping my task based on status, which they are now, but I could also decide to group them by assignee if I want to see what is on each person's plate. This is a task or a project I'm mostly in charge of, so it's really just me who has tasks in here right now. I could do it by priority. I don't really use priorities, so that was not going to really bring anything up. I could do it by tags if I've created tags. Due date would be super helpful to know what's coming up and when. And I can also do it by none, but we want it by something, so I've got it by status. Now, subtasks, I could also decide to have all of the subtasks attached to each of these tasks expanded for my view. That's going to make it a lot bigger, but that might be something that's important for me to be able to see at a glance. I'm going to turn them back off. Compact. And then there's also the ability to filter. Compact. And then there's also the ability to filter the view based on what are my tasks. So I just want to see what I've got on, and then what everyone has on. And what's great too about having everyone turned on is if I have more, so you can see there's 3 different team members here that don't have any tasks. You can see that I've got 2 tasks assigned and that there are 51 tasks that are unassigned. But so I could click on just myself and it will bring up me. I can also click on multiple people and it'll bring up everyone that I've selected and then unselect them as I need. So I find that to be a super helpful feature. You can also then see, you can turn on breadcrumbs, which will give you all of the details of where a project or a task lives if you need to, be able to direct someone to it. You can also show closed tasks. So I tend to have that turned off because it's like in the past. So I have them turned off. And again, you can also show closed subtasks if you need to see what you've done in the past. So that's kind of the view inside of a list. Let's start having a look at a task. So this is the task that I created for this video. Okay, so you can see up here we've got those statuses again. So if you click on not the arrow but the part on the left of it, it's going to give you the ability to change the status of this video. So right now I'm in the process of filming it, and then if you actually clicked on the arrow, it's going to take you to the very next status. So I've taken it to edit, but I'm still filming, so I'm going to move it back. You can also hit the tick button, which is just going to set it all the way to done or complete or whatever that final status that you have set up in your statuses is. You can assign people here. Now, what I love about ClickUp, one of the main features that I love is the ability to assign multiple people. So I could click on several people within my organization and we would all be assigned to this particular task, which I definitely find that I need depending on the type of task that it is. And you'll see also as we get a little bit deeper into tasks that we actually also have the ability to set dependencies where this feature of multiple assignees is really helpful. These guys aren't actually a part of this, so I'm going to take them off. So this is where you can set a priority. Like I said, I don't really set priorities, but the one time that I did was in the agency. If we had multiple projects going on, I'd set a priority so that people knew what to work on first. We have the 3 dots over here, which are all the additional features that you have for your task. So you can grab the link to this task, which you can share in the likes of your Slack or with someone else on your team. I do this all the time because I have my ClickUp and my Slack integrated. You can also copy the task ID, especially if you want to refer to this task elsewhere in ClickUp. That's a really handy feature. Print the task. You can actually set up email instructions for this task. So you could set up a specific email address that if you don't have access to ClickUp for some reason and you still have access to the internet, which doesn't really make sense to me, but at any rate, you could set up an email address so that you could email that address and it would create a task within this task or create a subtask. You can archive, you can delete, you can convert this entire task to a subtask and it'll ask you where you'd like to attribute this task as a subtask if you want to add it to another task. I've said task a lot. You can convert it to a list. So if you want to take it up the hierarchy, you can set dependencies, which are fantastic. And I'll show you in my subtasks for this task how I've created dependencies. You can duplicate, you can move, you can merge. You can save this as a template, which is if it's something that you're using all the time, saving as a template is such a handy feature. You can load that template and create custom fields. So you can see, and then you've got sharing permissions. So this is where you can share the task with specific people on your team. Now you can see from the custom fields perspective that I've actually created lots of custom fields for the way that I manage my YouTube videos, so that I don't have to have a Google Doc or something attached to this that I have to go and duplicate and all that kind of stuff. Because these custom statuses are set up for this list, I don't have to recreate them every time. They're just automatic across every single task. So I've been able to create whatever I want. So I've got my keywords, I've got dates set up in there, I've got URLs or file locations, so many things. So I can really just go to town creating as many custom many custom fields as I like. And I believe in the free version, you can create up to 100 custom fields across the entire workspace of your ClickUp, which I promise you is probably enough. I would be struggling to get 100 on the paid version. So as we move down beyond my custom field area, I then come to the subtasks. So, and you'll see that in a task, you can actually choose to create subtasks, or if you go a bit further, you can also choose to create a checklist, which is slightly different. So I find checklists aren't as good for me to use because you can't do as much with them as you can with a subtask, as in you can't necessarily assign dates and people and all of the other features that are important to me. But for certain tasks, a checklist is great because it really is just something that I want to make sure that the process is followed every time, and perhaps I don't need to create dependencies or anything like this. So you can see here, these are all of the subtasks that I create for each and every one of my YouTube videos. And you can see these little dependency icons. So basically it's saying when it's red that this subtask is blocking another task. So basically until I've done this subtask, another subtask is not going to become open. And you can see from the yellow that this is waiting on a different task to be completed before I'm able to do it. So this is a great way at a glance for me to be able to see, okay, well, I need to film this video before something else is going to open up. And it's likely the case that it means I can't edit the video until I film it. So it's not necessarily the case that the way that these are ordered is what these are dependent on. I've kind of created dependencies across these tasks based on what they actually are dependent upon. And it is also the case that for specific tasks, so for instance with the edit video, it might have several dependencies. It doesn't just need to be dependent on one task. You can actually set up several tasks that it's dependent on. And I find this super helpful because it'll kind of flag a warning for you if you try to. So for instance, if I try to set this as done, it says dependency warning. So it's telling me that until I film the video, I can't actually complete that task. So I can cancel and either go back and, maybe I have filmed the video and I just hadn't marked it or something like that. But I find that so helpful, especially when I'm managing a team around lots of subtasks. So for instance, if I need to send Rory my video for editing, I know that I need to do these things. He also knows that he can't start editing until the dependencies for that task are completed. So I find that super, super handy. You can also, as part of subtasks, attribute due dates. So you can set date, set priority. You can do almost all the stuff that you can do with a task to a subtask. They just can't have subtasks of their own underneath them. So it is where the hierarchy ends, is at subtasks. So then if we move across, you can also see that I tracked my time against these tasks. So I've already tracked 1 hour and 29 minutes. I've done that just by, before I had started this task, there was an icon here to track it, just the little clock. And so I can either turn on this task and actually start tracking and get ClickUp to do the tracking for me, or I can add manual time if I forgot to turn my timer on and I need to go back and kind of retroactively track the time. You can also set time estimates. So I can estimate how long this will take. So let's say I think it's going to take like 4 hours, and 30 minutes, and it will put that information in there. And this is just super handy, especially if you watched my last video where I was talking about hiring a virtual assistant. Not only is this great for you to do before you hire a virtual assistant so that you get an understanding of how much time you're taking on a task compared to how much you thought it was going to take, but it's also really helpful if you want to be tracking your virtual assistant's time to, again, for your own knowledge, and without kind of bringing the emotion to it. If you can estimate how long you think a task should take and then compare that to how long it actually took, you just have more data to drive your decisions around how you manage your business. So I just super, super love the time estimate and tracking features of ClickUp. Then we've also got the due dates. You have who's watching this task. So again, you don't necessarily have to assign people for them to be watching it. They can just have like watch access, which means they can, who's watching this task. So again, you don't necessarily have to assign people for them to be watching it. They can just have like watch access, which means they can, be across what's happening with the task. And the other feature I love, also obviously we have comments here. I don't use the comment feature in ClickUp because I prefer to have all of my communication happen in Slack, but there are instances where it is helpful just to have like, an updated, finished this or, added this or anything like that. But truthfully, ClickUp actually handles a lot of the updates for you. So you can at a glance come in and see what actions or processes happened on this task. Now, the final feature that I love is that you can actually minimize this task into your task tray, which means that you can just quickly and easily access this task with a click of a button down here. So so you can see this task is actually already minimized in my tray because I'm currently recording it. So then if I navigate elsewhere into my ClickUp, then if I don't want to have to go through several different clicks to get back to that task, I can just quickly open up the task and there it is, ready for me to use. Now, the last thing I just want to say about tasks as well is up here, this is your breadcrumbs, so you can see where the task comes from. So it's in my videos list, my YouTube project, and my operations space. You can also choose to move the task elsewhere. And the final thing I didn't mention also is that you can drop files. Now, the thing is that on the free version of ClickUp, you only get 100 megabytes of storage space in your account, which I very quickly used up when I had the free account. The thing is though, I would recommend if you don't want to be paying for ClickUp, because it is $5 per user per month on the cheapest next plan, which can add up, especially if you start to have a team where you have multiple people. What I recommend is if you use something like Google Drive or Dropbox, just drop the links to the files that you're wanting to reference into your specific tasks, rather than actually downloading or uploading them to ClickUp itself. That way you can go unlimited. You're not going to need to worry about storage space, and you're still going to have quick and easy access to all of the documents and files that you need. So that is tasks. Now, I want to also walk you through a couple of handy dandy features over here, which we have our inbox. So I love the inbox and notification system. Basically, if you set start or due dates for a task, they are going to show up in your inbox. They obviously also need to be assigned to you. So anything that you have assigned to you that has, well, I think anything that has that's assigned to you at all is going to show up in your inbox somewhere. So you can see if I click on next that there are a whole host of tasks that are just listed. Well, I've got so many tasks in here, it's going to take forever. But yes, I have a lot of tasks for the future. You'll also see, so the next section kind of lays them out according to what's coming up tomorrow, what's coming up the day after tomorrow, what's coming up next week, this month, and so on and so forth. So this is everything that's coming up. The inbox is what's either happening today or something that I didn't get done from days gone by. So I actually need to go and do a little bit of cleaning up of my inbox. But this is, I want to get better at cleaning this up, because when I am using it, this is so helpful for me to be able to know exactly what I've got on today, and to, it doesn't necessarily mean that I clear my inbox every day, because sometimes, especially if you're using start dates, which I recommend. For instance, if you don't use a start date for your inbox, you're only going to get notified of that task on the day that it's due, which, if you needed a few days to complete that task, is not necessarily going to be helpful. So I recommend that you create a start date, because that means it's going to start popping up in your inbox from the day that it started and until you clear it. So that's really handy. And from this view, you can quickly change the status as you're working on things. You can also just click on a task. Again, this is the one we were just in. And you can also see it's telling me which of the other subtasks it's blocking. So I can quickly click on tasks from the inbox, which is handy. I can also mark it as complete if it's just completely done, rather than changing the status. I can set the priority, I can change the date. I can also delegate this task to someone else. I believe that this feature is only available on a paid plan. I can also delete the task. Now, the other thing I like to do here is, if there is just like a little task, like I need to call the bank. So I can just create a task here that isn't attributed to any list or folder or space. It just lives in my inbox, and I can attach something to it. I can create a date for it. I can also create little tasks like this, again, that don't live in any space or folder or list, and delegate them to my team. So that's really handy as well, because I've got my team really managing their inboxes. And I can also ask it to notify me at a certain time to get that task done. And it will just turn up as a little reminder that I need to do that. So that's super handy. And then if I have delegated a lot of tasks, it'll come up in my delegated. And then I also have all of my unscheduled tasks. So these are tasks that are attributed to me that haven't had a due date or a start date put against them. So yeah, and then on top of that, on top of the inbox, we also have notifications. So notifications are based on, this is where that watching feature. So if you're watching a task, that's where you're going to get a notification about it. So I probably need to manage my watching a bit more, because I probably don't need to be notified of all these things. But this, especially if you're the business owner, and especially if you have a team where things are happening and you're not necessarily having communication around every single thing that's happening, this is a great way to keep a bird's eye view of everything that's happening in your business. And so you can see as statuses change, as things are completed. Here's a status that was changed. Here's a name that was changed of a project. You can get notified of all of these different things. So if you don't want to get these many notifications, you can just go into the task, or actually from here, you can just say, I want to stop watching this particular task. But you can also go into the task and change, if you want to change that you're not watching it anymore, I could come over here and change the watching feature. So that, I think, is everything. Oh, and then one more thing. It is not everything. I've got one more thing to show you, and that is goals. I am obsessed with goals. Oh, finally, the last icon up here is favorite. So if you favorite a task, they'll show up there. So goals are my new favorite thing. And this is just a really cool way to track your goals in your business. So for instance, I have a monthly recurring revenue goal that I'm wanting to track here. So as my membership hits 1,000 monthly recurring revenue dollars, then I can tick this off, and I can actually track. So right now I'm at $47 a month. And then I can actually click in here and I can update how many dollars it is. So I actually need to update this to $247. And then you can see it should update me. Update. There we go. So you can see that the status goes across, and I'm $247 out of 1,000 towards my goal. And so I'm 1% of the way. And so I love this because it actually, more so just as a, as like an intention setting thing for your business. I love that, these are little goals that I'm going to as I achieve one goal, like the next one is not that huge a jump, but it's a little stretch. And so I have all of them set up, and that over time, these are slowly going to be marked off and marked off and marked off. And that's just super helpful for my business and my mindset to kind of have these little things that I am ticking off as I go. So yeah, I love these goal setting features. You can also, if you pay for a higher subscription, create folders. You can create folders for your goals. And also, you don't necessarily have to have dollar amounts against them. So for instance, here in my Launch, Tweak, Repeat members goal, I have how many members I want to achieve. So you can create the measure that you want. So a very cool feature. And then finally, we have portfolios. I'm not really using portfolios, but these are a way for you to collect tasks specific to a project that might happen across multiple different spaces or folders, so that you can track how something's going. And again, you can it'll tell you how much progress you've made, if there's tasks overdue. You can set end dates here and who owns them. So many features that you can use inside ClickUp, depending on what you need out of your business, out of your organization. The thing is with ClickUp, the more you use it, the better it becomes. So I spent a lot of time over the holidays just recently getting my ClickUp more up to date and organizing it. If you'd like to know how I organize my business so that I can track the tasks and my projects and actually get things done.
As you can see, there is so much available to you in ClickUp, and the features potentially could be a little overwhelming. So I just want to caution you to only use those things that are essential to your business right now. Don't get overwhelmed by all of the fancy next level features, because they will come later as your business grows. I started off really just using those spaces, folders, lists, and tasks, and I slowly added on the different features that I needed as my business grew. You should do the same. And if you're sitting here wondering, gosh, now I know how to use it, but what's the strategy behind how I actually set up my business in ClickUp? Well, I've got you covered with my ClickUp Coach mini course, which you can grab in the description below. It is my step-by-step course that's going to walk you through exactly how I set up my business for success, so that no tasks are missed and that my team is properly allocated everything that they need as a part of my business. Of course, you don't need to have a team to go through the course. You can be a solopreneur. Grab it in the description below. The truth is though, ClickUp is only the beginning of the story when it comes to my business. And in my next video, I'm going to be walking you through my 10 favorite softwares that help organize my business so that I am set up to be earning 6 figures and beyond. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of that. But for now, I hope that you continue to build your freedom reality, and I will see you in the next video.